Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome to the races here this afternoon at Laurel Park. I'm Tim Tulloch. I will be your host throughout the day. We'll be joined later by Naomi Tucker, but right now we're joined by Callie Francois. Callie, how are we doing on this very, very nice, almost spring day?
I'm feeling the almost spring, and I am so enjoying it. I just know that winter is basically over, and I am so enthralled about that. And I'm enthralled that you are back with us. Just so glad to have you back, Tim.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a bit of a long haul, but I made it back. But look, you're putting a lot of faith in March. March can throw you some curveballs. I know we've had a few days, but
Can you
March,
just let me be positive, please?
March can be a little tricky, but we hope she treats us well for the rest of her days here in 2021. Big day, Callie, Good Samaritan Stakes Day. We have 5 stakes on the card. We also have a nice promotion from Express Bet on this Good Samaritan Day Stakes, a money back special. Get your cash back up to $10 each time your horse finishes second or third at Laurel this afternoon. Just go to first.com/bet promotion and get on there and get involved in this nice promotion this afternoon. Also, just a reminder, tomorrow we spring forward tonight. Remember to move your clocks forward an hour this evening, and that will change our post time. Post time 12:40 starting tomorrow afternoon, 12:40 for our Sunday card. Race 1 kicks off the early pick 5, 50-cent minimum, 12% takeout, and industry low mandatory payout, and it gets started right here in race 1. Well, Callie, race 1 is for fillies and mares for 3-year-olds and up, 4-year-olds and up who've never won 2 races, claiming price $16,000, going a mile and an eighth. I love seeing these races going a mile and an eighth. And Callie, you and I see it pretty similar, certainly in our exacta. We both have the 6 Imagine Victory on top and the 1 Walk It Out Nanny in our exacta. We're going to take a quick look at their race from February 21st here at Laurel Park. As you see, Walk It On Nanny had gotten the lead and is bringing him along pretty forwardly. The 6 Imagine Victory just back there, and you're going to see Imagine Victory just have to, not really steady, but just have to hold up right through there a little bit before she can, right here, before she can get on a good foot and get a good run going. Meanwhile, Walk It Out Nanny is getting everything pretty much her own way, but as Keith Fusel pointed out on the early show this afternoon, earlier today, the rail wasn't the best place to be, and you see here comes Imagine Victory, who just can't get up in front of Award Wanted.
You know, this horse needs a little bit of space to get that momentum to get rolling. But what I also noticed is that this horse I think this horse just hangs a little bit, and I love the ride that I think that Sheldon was going to be giving on this horse. So in this case, he either needs to be taken out a little bit later with a little bit of a late surge, which is how he won with Crispin earlier in December of last year, or you space him out away from other horses trying to get him away. I think down the stretch, I think he needs to be taken away a little bit and just a little bit manhandled, to be honest. And I think Sheldon's going to give that ride today, which is why I have this horse picked on top.
It certainly looks that way a little bit, that you don't want to get to the front too soon. You want to time it just right, because he has hung a little bit his last 2 races, and maybe he hung a little bit in that last race on February 21st. A work since that last race, a nice half mile for Dale Capuano. And as you mentioned, Sheldon Russell rides 1-2, and your favorite on the board. The 1 Walk It Out Nanny, Mike Gorham, Javion Toledo gets the call. Not a bad race in her last race, and she's simply found new life since stretching out in January.
And she has that type of stride, it doesn't help that in the she hopped out of the gate on the 17th, but she goes to the lead. She's been going to the lead, and that's how she won on the 5th. But, the hop out on the 17th, I think, was actually a blessing in disguise, forcing this horse to become a tactical speed. And now she is on the 1 post, but going that long, you have a little bit of clearance. You don't have to go to the lead, but that's what I see her doing. really the only horse that's faster or quicker is Dale's horse, which is the 1-2 favorite in this race. So I think she just kind of does her thing, take advantage of this new turn leaf that she's got.
And I can hear Mikey Gorham's instructions in the paddock right now to Javan Toledo. Get to the front and improve your position, but the one hole should be very, very advantageous for Walk It Out Nanny. Mile and an eighth, she got to an easy lead going a mile, so I would expect Walk It Out Nanny at 5-2 to be showing the way into the first turn. The 2, Malice in the Palace. The second entry for Mike Gorham. Charlie Marquez gets the call. 13-1 on the board. The extra distance, I think, will help Malice in the Palace.
Yes.
Because she tends not to get away the best.
And on top of it, too, Sheldon did the right thing by placing this horse a bit more forward out in the field. I think the most important part of the race for this horse is going to be that first 16th of a mile. Needs to take advantage of getting this horse out there and Charlie's going to have to do a little bit of work. And I'm sure with the weight off, Mikey Gorham is going to tell Charlie to kind of get out, take advantage of that weight off.
The 5-car lady's been kind of hanging around the last 2 races, but has some previous races on her form that might be okay as these fillies and mares head to the racetrack for race 1, our opener today on Good Samaritan race day. We're about 7 minutes out from post. Good luck. Well, with that win, trainer John Salzman Jr. is now 7 for 14, 50%. At this year's winter meet here at Laurel Park. His barn continues to be on fire as Sick Pack Sarah goes flag fall to finish.
Easy win, easy breezy, and easy nice win for Charlie Marquez. So congratulations to all the connections.
$6.20 winner in race 2. Okay, Callie, here we go. We're going to kick off our stakes action in a minute. But before we do that, I want to remind everybody about the Stronach 5. Got canceled yesterday, is getting carried over to this next Friday, March 19th. Look at that carryover, just under $155,000. We expect $500,000, maybe even more bet into the Stronach 5 this Friday. Entries will be out at least here at Laurel Park at the end of tomorrow, end of Sunday. So we might want to start studying the Stronach 5. That'll be next Friday here at Laurel Park. Race 3, Beyond the Wire, $100,000 for 3-year-old fillies going a mile. And Callie, you have the 2 Street Loot on top. Why not? She's a neck short of being perfect. She's 7 for 8 in her life. We are going to take a quick look at a video from her last start, the Wide Country, which also includes the 3 Fraudulent Charge. And as you see, Street Loot is just biding her time. But when she went fast. On the outside is Fraudulent Charge, and you didn't quite see the very, very quick move, quick turn of foot that Street Loot showed around the turn to get to the front. Now, Fraudulent Charge keeps on driving here and is getting to Street Loot late, and that's a little bit of my concern with Street Loot this afternoon. You can't argue with her resume. The question is, will she be able to handle the mile distance this afternoon?
Tim, I will not be the one to dethrone this filly. All of you can, but I will not. I think this filly is just so gritty. I love how gritty she is, and despite that Fraudulent Charge was coming up to her, everybody has her labeled as a sprinter from early on in her career, but she won by so much. You think that would just transfer over, and I think that is. She's calm, cool, and collected enough. She's obviously very feisty, but she keeps her cool on the backside, and I'm putting faith into this filly. I'm going to give her a chance at this distance.
I'm certainly not rooting against her, and I don't ever on top. I'll be happy to be wrong,
Yes.
no doubt about it. I love fillies like this, and she's hard trying. She knows the game, but I do have a little bit of concern going the mile distance. She has that quick turn of foot while sprinting. Can she come with that quick turn of foot while going a mile, or does she find herself in front, and can she carry her speed over that mile? My concern is, as she is 3 for 3 going 7/8 of a mile in all 3 of those races, those are the only 3 races that she's given up ground to the second place finisher. Do I want to see her win? No doubt about it. But this is going to be a test for Street Loot, who is your 4 to 5 favorite. The 3 is Fraudulent Charge. You just saw her in that video. She was driving late in that race, going 7/8 of a mile. She got carried out at the top of the stretch. The extra furlong may help her this afternoon.
And I think it will. I was actually working horses out with Johan this morning, and he verbatim, he said, I have been begging for this filly to go longer, and I'm so excited to see her. I've been keeping it. I have fallen in love with this filly. I can't knock out Street Loot, but I have fallen in love with this filly, and I really, really think that the distance is going to be perfect for her today. She's just blossoming into this beautiful running filly.
Well, she certainly has never run a bad race in her life, just like Street Loot. Not a single bad race in her life. 3 to 1 on the board. The 4, Journey to the Moon, 8 to 1 on the board. Keith Fusel's top pick this afternoon, stepping into stakes company for the first time. Big race in her last start at that first level allowance condition. Another filly. She's 2 for 3 with a second. She knows how to run. We're going to look at her video from January 29th in that A out of Than, where she didn't get away poorly, but as you see, she just takes that little bobble step right there out of the gate. We'll go back and look at it. Not a big major thing, but right there you see her. And then she just kind of gets outrun a little bit. Julian Pimentel clearly not concerned about this at that time. And why not? Because watch what happens here. This filly gets up on the outside of the 3 in between horses. And when she flattens out, when she gets her stride and she gets out there to clean air, it's go time. And boy, when you watch her in the stretch, Callie, she looks awfully good.
Julian does not need to do a single thing, and that combined with the break that she had earlier in that race that we're looking at right now on the 29th, I mean, that just proves why she belongs in this race today. I mean, look at her. Julian doesn't have to do anything. You'll see in a couple of seconds, he looks back and realizes that he doesn't have to do anything. But she's also a proven winner at this distance. She's pretty much the only between.
That is right.
Yeah, so in between Street Loot and Fraudulent Charge, not only has she been at this distance, but she's won, and she's won well. So she just looks to be like a classic distance filly, and I can't wait to see what comes of her career.
You saw Julian Pimentel look underneath his right arm about the 3/16 pole, and then looked at the monitor from there on in and knew he was going to get there. We had a chance to catch up with Mike Trombetta, and this is what he had to say about Journey to the Moon.
Julian knows her real well. And, you know, he's one of those kind of riders, if he doesn't get the break that he wants, he doesn't rush, he doesn't panic, and he just kind of lets him fall into the race. But I think the outcome of it was very well. She ran really good. Now she's going to have to step forward with this group. We've always had her pegged as a horse that wanted to go further. I was actually surprised she was good enough to win going short. And then when we stretched her out, her first race long was a little off for some reason. We never could really figure out why she didn't run better, other than the fact that maybe she had a lot of time in between races. But the last race was much more like what we were hoping for. She's actually trained well. She, you know, after she won the allowance race, we had this on the radar, and she's trained good to it.
Mike Trombetta on Journey to the Moon. Juicy 13 to 1 on the board for a filly who looks like she's got a big future, and she'll be tested today, but coming off a big win at that first level allowance condition. 13 to 1 on Journey to the Moon. My top pick is the 5 Little Stitches for Tom Amoss. Sheldon Russell gets the call, currently 4 to 1 on the board. Stakes winner last year at Delta Downs, going 7/8 of a mile. I'm pretty sure Delta Downs at 7/8 is a 2-turn.
Yes.
7/8. Pretty good. I didn't think that was a bad race in the Grade 2 Rachel Alexander in her last start, where she ran 4th and got beat 7 lengths. Is cut out to get the route of ground. Maybe the best cutout filly in the race by Go Zapper out of that Quality Road mare. Couple good works since down there at the fairgrounds. Sheldon Russell gets the call.
And you've hit everything that I've kind of picked up on this filly. And the biggest thing that I've noticed with that win at Delta Downs is that while she doesn't have experience over this 9 furlong distance, she does have experience over 2 turns, which to me is the far more important factor.
She did run well, going 7/8 in both those races at the fairgrounds, both in pretty tough stakes. Were pretty good efforts. So I'm going to take little Stitches at 4-1 as these 3-year-old fillies head to the track for the $100,000 Beyond the Wire Stakes, going the 1-turn mile. We run to the second wire. Good luck here in the Beyond the Wire. Well, I can't tell you that I was oozing with confidence at the quarter pole. Little Stitches was my price play of the day, but she grinds it out. She gets the job done under Sheldon Russell, a $10.20 winner, and she picks up her second stakes win of her career.
And how very cool is that the owners were able to come in all the way from Ohio. Congratulations to them. What a day for them, and what a great ride by Sheldon. I know it wasn't the plan for Fraudulent Charge to be up there, so in there he kind of took advantage of the mishaps of the other one, but nonetheless still a great ride.
Pretty good. It's a pretty easy drive. Get on 70 East, get on 32 East, take a right on on Route 1, and you're here, more or less. But congratulations to them. A nice story. Came to the races for the first time here. Joel Politi, I'll get that right in a minute. Anyway, first race here at Laurel Park and picks up a stakes win here. So congratulations to everybody. Little Stitches, $10.20 winner here at Laurel Park. We move to race 4. Race 4 kicks off the Rainbow Pick 6. We have a nice carryover from last Sunday, $10,762. Naomi Tucker put us together a ticket for the Rainbow Pick 6, a nice $36 play, and she goes too deep here in race 4. She uses the 4 and the 5. Her single comes in race 5, and that is the 2 where she told me to go. Race 6, the Harrison Johnson going 1.1 miles. Well, she goes deep there, and why not? This is a salty, very competitive heat. 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7. Race 7, too deep there. The 6 and the 8. Race 8, which is our final stake race of the day, the Private Terms. Another event which could go a few different ways. She uses a 2, 5, and 7, and she finishes out in race 9, 3, 4, and 5. Very affordable $36 ticket in the Rainbow Pick 6, and that pool is approaching $14,000. Race 4 is a maiden event for 3-year-old fillies, claiming price $10,000, going 5.5 furlongs. And we'll start with your top pick, Callie, the 5, Joyce G. Keith Fusel has this one on top. Also a first-time starter for Hugh McMahon, who's been well entered at this maiden 10 level.
The look of her just has me she piqued my interest on the chart, but looking at her in the paddock, she's also piqued my interest as well. I really do like how she's behaving as a first-time starter here. She is bred to be a bit longer distance. Her dam won a handicap at Aqueduct, I believe at 1 mile and 16th. So I'm loving all of these works leading up to this event, really, for Hugh. First time Lasix, he's 25%. First start as a 3-year-old from a short sampling, but he's 50% there. So just all of that is pointing good green flags to me.
And I believe the dam Ruby Rubles has produced 10 winners. So some winners have come out of her family, working pretty well recently, especially for this level. A little gap in her works from October to January. That's always gives me a little bit of a pause, but I do like her. She's in my exacta. She's 5-1. My top pick is the 4, 1-2, too short in a maiden 10. But it is Brittany Russell, first-time starter, 33%. Husband Sheldon Russell rides, and this is another one that's been working, okay for this level.
And that's what it is. That's why I have her pick second. Both the Sire and Dam were successful Myers, so I see this as Brittany sending this horse out for an educational experience, possibly. Just with the times, it makes me feel like this filly has one of those bounding strides. And looking at her, she's kind of that narrow narrow type, long. She doesn't quite look like a sprinter here today, but I see her going longer, which is why she's probably not the fastest horse in the morning.
Well, she's certainly looking at her works, probably a little bit more route of ground, but she's had a couple decent 5/8 of the mile works, including a recent 5/8 going 102 flat right here at Laurel Park, and that was on a sloppy racetrack. She's going to get 5 fast racetrack this afternoon, 3 to 5 on the board. A little too short for me, but still my top pick. The 2 Great Cause for John Salzman Jr. You have on your ticket. So do I. This one showed improvement at Charlestown, but going to have to get a lot better here at Laurel. With that said, with the exception of the one start at the Maiden 10 here last November, she was running against tougher that day against the Maiden 10. She got beat 17 lengths.
And you have to forgive her for that. So what I thought was I thought it was really interesting how Salzman went about this horse's campaign, so to say. But I think once the horse, she got her sea legs underneath her, she was sent forward, which didn't work. Sent her to Charlestown hoping to get some speed in her, which should do the trick. But what happened instead is that she ran to horses that were actually quicker than her, which is probably developed a style for her being right behind the leaders. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out for her today.
The 3 Bobini, currently 9-2 on the board. Now this is a filly that could be quite interesting. Dropping from the maiden 40 where she had trouble from the start, got bumped as she got steadied. She was wide. Some decent works, drops to the 10,000, gets Javion Toledo 9-2 on the board.
You know, what I love of what he did is that after that run on the 24th, he took her back and did a work out of the gates on the 5th, which I love that move. So I think that's definitely going to play out here today, this afternoon.
That's certainly the right thing to do, adding a little trouble at the gate in her previous start. Take her back there, let her get a little confidence. 7 minutes out as these 3-year-old fillies hit the track for race 4. Rainbow Pick 6 starts right now. Well, Glory March shuffled around a little bit out of the gate and down the back stretch, but Sheldon Russell does not panic at all. Comes with a good, furious finish. And, Callie, I needed a nap after watching Sheldon ride that 3-year-old filly by Shackelford. But here's not a news flash. Brittany Russell wins with yet another first-time starter.
Again, what again? Shocker, right? And thinking about that, I think also with Sheldon, 2 down. What is it? 2 down, 6 to go.
2 down, 6 to go.
Yep. So kind of took advantage of the Salzman horse, kind of keeping that Charlestown track because he got to about the 8th pole and then he just 16th pole and he just ran out of steam and then Sheldon just slid on in there. So as Naomi mentioned, Brittany Russell doing a great job of getting those long works in before the first start.
They're certainly prepared when they come over here for the first time Glory March, and even money favorite there for the Russells. Race 5 kicks off the late pick 5. 12% takeout, industry low, 50-cent minimum. No carryover from this past Sunday, but always very, very well played. The late pick 5. Now, the late pick 5 is the second of our 5 stakes this afternoon, but the first of our 2 Maryland bred stakes. It's a Not for Love, going 3/4 of a mile for 4-year-olds and up, Maryland bred or Maryland sired. And both you and I have your current 1-9 favorite, as you see him on the screen. The 2 Where She Told Me to Go for Brittany and Sheldon Russell. This one has won 3 stakes in a row. We haven't seen him since December 26th, but we're going to take a quick look at that race in the Dave's Friend as we pick this one up just outside the quarter pole. And you see Where She Told Me to Go on the outside, and this one just keeps on coming all the way down to the wire. And he had plenty of pace to run at that day, 44-3, 56-2, but he's running all the way down there, 108-2. He ran that day, scored a 99 Beyer speed figure as you see him finishing up the Dave's Friend. 299 back-to-back 99 Beyer speed figures for Where She Told Me to Go. Comes in here with 4 big works since that last race off a layoff, which Brittany Russell does pretty well.
Gorgeous horse to look at, like in the replay. in the Dave's Friends Stakes, and then gorgeous to look at in the paddock. I remember seeing this horse, seeing Sheldon on this horse in the morning not too long ago, going back to the gate, and I had to do a double take because I love the look of this horse so much. And I mean, Tim, you kind of said everything, and then there's not much to say about why this horse is the current 1-9 favorite, especially with the two previous starts.
Oh, well, this horse has been in very, very good form. He's shown the ability to lay, which I think he'll need today because there's plenty of gas. But he showed speed also, but I think he's going to have a pretty good flow to run into this afternoon for Sheldon Russell. As you mentioned, this is a big, good-looking gelding by El Padrino. He's a 9-time winner. He's won over $540,000. So this is a serious racehorse with a big work on March 6th, a minute flat right here at Laurel Park for the 5/8 of a mile. To his inside at 9-1 is Stroll Smokin'. This one is a winless in 2 starts this year in 2021, but he's in very, very good form with some solid figures. And you've got to think this one's firing out of there, getting right to the front.
And exactly where she told me to go will need. This is the horse that will be the pace of the race today here in the Not for Love Stakes. Just a horse that's been under the radar lately. Quick horse. I think he's gonna be caught right at the end. No, it hasn't had a win in 2 starts for the 2021 campaign, but at this point, where else are you going to go? This horse still is competing well, and I just think he's been unlucky in the past couple starts, and again, he's going to have no choice but to go to the lead. He's had a great work leading up to this that I did see on the track couple weeks ago, and I think that there's no other choice but to go to the lead.
This horse has been in very, very good form. A couple seconds this year, a win ending 2020, but running good, solid numbers with good, solid results. 7-1 on the board for the 1 Stroll Smokin'. The 7 carry times we both use here a little bit. Interesting here. I think it should be capable to get a minor award. Probably gets outrun early, but has shown the ability to come with a little bit of a finish.
I was just watching this horse's lifetime best, which was the allowance Never Win 2 at Laurel back in October, which actually when the horse went to the lead. Now, this horse isn't going to get that trip today. So watching his past race, what I've just noticed that this horse seems to the biggest thing that Jorge Ruiz is going to need to do is just give this horse the best trip. And he has an opportunity to do that coming out of the 7 hole, which is not ideal for going short. But however, I think this horse just needs a little bit of space when he runs. I think he's going to be watching Stroll Smokin' and Karan's Notion. I think he just needs to sit right outside those two, and he has the capability to do it. So I think that's exactly where he needs to sit. He doesn't have so much of a turn of foot. He's he's decently one-paced, and I think that's the best way he's going to be able to hit the board today.
30-1 on the board for Carey's Time. We'll go right to the inside, the 6, Karan's Notion. At 6-1, look, I just feel like as the races have gotten tougher, the horses have gotten faster, and an easy lead is not going to be in his cards at this type of level.
No, and, he's been off of his form lately, and personally, I'm just a bit concerned with how he's come off of the performance under the off-going in his last start on the 27th, which is a bit close. So again, this horse is going to be going for it, but I think this horse has a little bit of a confidence issue right now.
It certainly is better when he can get that easy lead. His last 3 starts, when he either didn't get to the lead or pressured, hasn't run quite as well. So maybe a change in tactics for Karan's Notion could be in his cards. Maybe he can learn to run at horses. But as you know, as the horses get better, they get faster, and that lead is harder to attain. Your current favorite is the 1-5 favorite, Where She Told Me to Go. And we did have a couple minutes to catch up with Brittany Russell about Where She Told Me to Go, and this is what she had to say.
He had run 3 good races for us. He had run some big numbers, and it just seemed like a good time to freshen him up. You know, the weather, we struggled with weather here at the beginning of the year, which we usually do. And I just, you know, it didn't pressure me into working him on bad racetracks, things like that. So we just freshened him up, and this race just looked like a good place to get his year started. He just likes to race. You know, actually freshening him up, he's kind of been telling me here lately he's ready to, you know, walk over there and race. You know, he's happy, but I think he's happier when he's, you know, he's racing. You know, I expect we see a different horse after he runs on Saturday in the barn, just because I think he gets bored. He's ready to do something. He does have versatility. He'll sit, he'll make a run. He's, you know, he's a neat horse. Wherever he ends up, he'll be running at the end.
Where She Told Me to Go picks up his 10th lifetime win this afternoon in the Not for Love, ground out a win going 3/4 of a mile under Sheldon Russell. Brittany Russell trains. The Russells are having a big day, and they still have some races in the future this afternoon where they very well might find the winner's circle once again. But I thought all in all, at the end of the day, had to grind it out, but a pretty good win coming off the layoff.
Pretty good, pretty darn good, Tim. That was quite a feat, coming off of that layoff and to just put in such a performance from the Russell team. I think it's going to be a Russell day overall, so I'm excited to see what that brings to us. And congratulations to everybody.
A couple positive things happened in that race where She Told Me to Go, but Carnes Notion, who got turned up on his head down the backside, may have been the best thing to ever happen to him, because he got forced back, almost back of the pack, and he came with some run. He showed the ability to come with some run to run second. That was a big race, so maybe in going forward, he's shown the ability he'll run at horses. Maybe that might be a strategy that might be, you know, put forward for Carnes Notion, because the horse is clearly talented.
Yes,
if he'll run at horses, that might help him.
And coming off of, you know, it was a rail trip going through some traffic, and you know, I've said this time and time again, when something's not working with some of these horses, you have to change their pattern. It's like changing a mindset on anybody. You kind of have to snap it into gear a little bit, and I think you're right, Tim. I think that was exactly what was needed.
And sometimes you learn things by default, and it might work for him in the future. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But if it's not going well, fix it.
Better get something
try
done.
To fix it. Let's move on to race 6. We're about 13 minutes out. This might be one of the highlights, maybe the best race, certainly the most interesting race on the card today. The $100,000 Harrison Johnson Memorial Mile and an 1/8 on the main track. And Callie, we'll start with your top pick. 6-1 on the board, and that is a 4 Tattooed, and this one showed steady improvement over his last 3.
You know, I thought the entry into the General George was an interesting one versus going into the John B. Campbell Stakes, because I was so impressed with this horse's gallop out in the Jennings. You know, I've always thought this horse needed more room, and he's out one of the first 2 sets in the mornings, and I always see him out there, and the horse is just training beautifully. And I mean, if you look at him in the paddock, he looks fantastic. Just on his toes, always ready to go. There's always a little bit of zip to his step, and I think all of those combined, you know, I just think the General George was a bit too short for him. But you know, performing without Lasix, that gives me even more confidence in this horse for today.
It's interesting you said that, because I thought the same thing when Tim Keefe opted to go in the General George instead of John Campbell, but he was clearly right. That was a big race, ran second in a grade 3, certainly is nice on his resume. And this is a horse who's run a mile and an 1/8 5 times in his life. Now, he's not a winner going mile and 1/8, but he has 3 races on his form going the 9 furlongs, which are pretty positive. So I use him in my selections also. He's a 6-1. My top pick is the 5 Galerio, currently 2-1 on the board. He's coming out of the John Campbell, where he just got beat a length and 3/4, and also the 2 Cordmaker coming out of the same race. And we're going to take a quick look at the John Campbell. We're going to pick it up at the quarter pole, as you see Galerio there, the 7 in the white bridle, and then you have the 1 Bankit coming on the outside. And you see Cordmaker in behind there, the chestnut horse, who grinds it out. Galerio really, really tries hard through the stretch. Just gets beat. That's a Steve Asmussen horse.
Yeah.
Bankit, who does get the job done. And as Keith Fustel mentioned earlier, this is a horse that just doesn't seem to have any bounce in him. He just keeps coming back and running well, running a lifetime best in that last race of a 91 Beyer speed figure. Good race in the Jennings. Look, I just think this horse is in pretty good form.
And like as Keith said, like this horse has not been. I've been waiting for this horse to bounce, and this horse hasn't bounced. So I'm on board with this horse. I mean, I just love the grittiness of how he runs, because as you saw in that replay, he kind of, as Bankit passed by, that's when a horse usually throws in a towel at that point in the race. But he kind of, as soon as Bankit kind of passed on and kept going, Galerio started going with him. So that gives me a lot of confidence in this horse. And let's add in the John B. Campbell that this horse was about 5 wide in the first turn and 4 wide into the second turn. I mean, how can you not overlook that performance?
No doubt about that. Going a mile and a 16th in his last start, he drew the 7 of 8 horses. That
he
is
basically
not
went a mile and an eighth.
Yeah, that is not a good draw, going a mile and a 16th. Now, look, this is a horse in his past 12 starts. He has not been worse than second. Period. He's won 9 of those 12. The 3 times he was second, he got beat 3/4 of a length, a neck, and a length and a quarter. This is a stone cold runner. He was 8 for 12 last year in 2020. The 2 Cordmaker, look, he just keeps hanging around. There's no doubt about it. He hasn't run a great race in a while, but he hasn't run a bad race either. Pretty decent in his last 2.
And that's why I have him on the board, but I don't have this horse going first or second. He's been consistent, but been a consistent third. He's been a consistent second. He's been a consistent fifth. So I'm just going to keep him where he kind of wants to be. And the last time this horse won was in 2019 at Delaware Park, and it was a 2-horse field. That horse and Cordmaker ended up going, kind of setting the pace in that match race. He's just and like you said, he has a pattern of just going with the flow. I don't know what it's going to take, but I need to see a spark in this horse. He keeps running into traffic problems, so we need to see something happen. Until then, I'm going to keep him on the board where I think he'll stay.
Yeah, he has had some traffic problems, and I was reading earlier this week, Rodney Jenkins just feels like if he could just get over the hump,
yes,
get by some horses, he might get his confidence back. He is 9-2 on the board. The 7 Plots the Dots steps into Stakes Company for the first time, coming off a pretty good-looking win at the 2 Other Than level.
I don't have this horse picked, but the reason I don't have this horse picked is I know, the horse was entered in the Tessio last year. He's had some stakes experience, but I think with what he's going up against now, sure, it's a great step up of what he needs to do, but I just think there are more experienced horses at this level, and I really think it's a good time to find out what kind of horse you have here today, Tim.
A big race in his last race when he fired a lifetime best 90. The 6 Dixie Draw, I have in my exacta. He's your second choice on the board at 5-2. He took on Stakes Company for the first time in his last start. I didn't think that was a bad race, going a mile and 16th. Look, those horses were not hanging around. 111 and 1 3/4, 142 flat for a mile and 16th. I think he just got run off his legs a little bit. Gets to a mile and 1/8 this afternoon. The pace scenario should work in his favor. He's 2 for 3 going a mile and 1/8.
Yeah, I just again, just based off of that last performance, I know it was nothing to sneeze at, but I do worry about a horse getting discouraged. A little bit of just having their confidence a little bit shook. I won't be surprised. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but today I did have to leave him off of my card today.
Last 2 times he's run a mile and 1/8. He's won both of them. He ran a 92 and a 93 Beyer speed figure. That's good enough to win here this afternoon as the horses hit the track for the $100,000 Harrison Johnson, going 9 furlongs. Well, Rodney Jenkins had commented earlier in the week that he thought if Cordmaker could just somehow find the lead, get his head in front, that would help his confidence, and they did that right out of the gate this afternoon.
As soon as the gates opened and I saw Victor go up to the lead in the first corner, I said, yep, here we go. I got excited. I knew something was going to come out of that, and it certainly did. And that's how he won his last race. While it was back in 2019, that's still how he won his race. Cut the drama, just cut to the chase and get him to the lead, which is exactly what he needed.
Why not? We just talked about if it's not broke, don't fix it. But if things aren't going right, do something different. And that's exactly what Rodney Victor Carrasco did this afternoon. Cordmaker, a very game. Galerio came to him and he put him away and won off pretty easily at the end of the day, $8.60. And we talked about the Harrison Johnson maybe being a bit of a wide open race, ended up being exactly that. Congratulations to Hillwood Stable and Rodney Jenkins as we move on to race 7, the 4th of our 5 stakes today, our second Maryland bred stakes. This is a Conover for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up for Maryland bred or sired. Fillies and mares going 7/8 of a mile. And Callie, both you and I are on the 6. Kiss the Girl for Mike Trombetta. Currently 5-2 on the board. She ran into a very, very good gale in her last start, but she's turning back in distance off a lifetime best in her last.
Well, let's talk about who she was against that day. I mean, nobody could beat that Jonathan Thomas runner. But this Kiss the Girl made a pretty good effort at going for it. She wasn't too far behind. You know, when you watch this filly run, don't be alarmed if Victor has to get into her a little bit. You know, Victor's let's make a repeat here, Victor. Get into her a little bit early. She's back at the 7, which is what she likes. That's what she's good at. That's what she wins at. So I think that's just going to continue with the performance today. Add that to some respectable works here in early March. A nice bullet work on the 22nd. And let's wrap it all up in a bow.
1-for-1 going 7/8 of a mile. We had a chance to catch up with Mike Trombetta, and this is what he had to say about Kiss the Girl.
Her last race was a career best. I actually looked at the Thorograph sheets last night, and you know she ran a lifetime best that and only finished second. So she's had quite a bit of time going into this race, and she's training lights out, and I'm looking forward to running her. Well, you know, it's her best chance to maybe get her some black type. The race is a little shorter than she wants. She kind of likes at least a mile, if not further, but I'm hoping that if there's a lively pace, maybe she can run along and pick up some of the pieces. And if she gets a placing in here, you know, it'd be worthwhile.
Well, she certainly ran well going 7/8 of a mile. She fired a 75 by her speed figures 3 races ago and beat a next out winner in Queen of Tomorrow. Mike Trombetta about 26% when he takes one from a route to sprint. The 6, Kiss the Girl, both Callie and myself, top pick here this afternoon, 5-2 on the board. The 8, 7-2 as we speak. Deep Red for Damon Dillon-DeVico. Sheldon Russell, he'll be looking for his 4th winner this afternoon, stepping into stakes company for the first time. But her last race on January 29th was quite impressive, and we're going to take a look at that right now. We're going to pick it up at the quarter pole. As you see, Deep Red is basically at the back of the pack, stuck on the rail, but making a bit of a run. She gets to the outside. She has to create herself a little space. Says, okay, number 2, you move over there. We're good now. Gets into some clean air, and she comes with a very, very game run, Callie.
And on top of that, you know, she brushed a bit earlier. She just overcoming. Good horses can overcome a lot of what's going on. And what we just saw, was going on. So we're about to see a good horse run. You know, I think the horse is in good fashion. And now, quite simply, it's the time to step up. So I was talking to Damon Dillon-DeVico earlier. Her form is what their happiest is. Her form is going so well after that winning ride. That just gives me all the confidence that she's definitely going to be giving us a show today.
A good work since that last race, and we spoke with Damon Dillon-DeVico, and this is what he had to say about Deep Red.
We had her going pretty good in 19. We won a race mid-year. And then we had a hard time finding a race for her for a few months. Ended up with a soft tissue injury, so we decided to give her the rest of that year off. And really, other than her first start back in 20, she's been very solid for us. She definitely gets competitive when bounced a little, I guess. Was fortunate that Sheldon found us, a ground-saving route. We've been giving up a lot of ground with her in a couple of the previous races. We decided to give a shot to Sheldon. First race, we kind of, he was like feeling her out a little bit, I guess, and was much better second time around. We do have a little bit of pace if we have to use it, stretching out a little bit. Maybe we can have her a little bit closer. As far as saving ground from out there, it might be more of an effort to try to do that than what it's worth in the end. Sheldon's just going to have to use his head and give us a good trip.
Well, Damon's absolutely right. This is a mare who's had some wide trips in her career. 4 of her last 6 races, 4 and 6 wide. A good inside trip in her last start, but a lifetime best, or 79 by her speed figure. Now she's 0 for 4 going 7/8 of a mile, but she has run positive races, and she's in a very good form. She's currently 7-2 on the board. The 4 Artful Splatter you use in your exact. This is a mare who I didn't get to simply because I just think she's a better mare when there's moisture in the racetrack.
I'm trying to go for an exact at a price here today, Tim. I just take away that on the wet moisture and the off-going. I really liked what I saw in the Nellie Morse earlier in February this year. I just quite simply think that this filly is taking a turn for the better. Sometimes riding for Kieran, sometimes plans don't go according to, and that's what happened last time, and it still worked out for her. I actually ran into Carol in the jocks room earlier today and talking with her, and the biggest thing about this filly is that she just gets nervous in the gates. If she has to stay in the gates too long, that's where she gets kind of irritated and a little bit rattled up, and that can affect her in the race. But as the field is going to load in today, she's going to be one of the last ones in the gate when she loads in at the same time as the 8. So that's kind of the angle that I'm going for.
Certainly ran better on a fast racetrack in her last start. The 1 Whispering Pines, your current 5-2 favorite. I use this one a little bit. Big race with a lifetime best in her last start at Gulfstream Park. She takes advantage of coming from that hotter weather to the cooler weather here this afternoon. Big work on March 5th at Prairie Meadows, but she draws the inside, and she's had a couple races where she hasn't gotten away the best. The inside going 7/8 of a mile isn't always the best place to be, but she ran a big 80 by her speed figure. That's going to be good enough to get the job done here this afternoon. These 4 fillies and mares hit the track for race 7, the Conover Stakes, going 7/8 of a mile. Good luck. Jockey Victor Carrasco gets his second stakes victory of the afternoon, and Kiss a Girl picks up her first stakes win for Mike Trombetta, 3 Diamonds Farm. She had to grind it out on the outside, but grind it out she did. She got the win for a $6 win price.
But that's her style anyway, and I think, Mike mentioned that he was a bit worried that when Victor asked, she wasn't going right away, but I noticed in her past couple of races that that's kind of her style. It takes a little bit to get the motor running, but once it's going, she's gone. So she cleared in well underneath Victor Carrasco, and congratulations to the Trombetta crew.
Using a little NASCAR terminology, she's got a restrictor plate on that baby. It takes her a while to wind up through the gears, but she gets the job done this afternoon, as I mentioned. A $6 winner. We move on to race 8. This is the last of our 5 stakes here this afternoon. We've had a great day. This is a private terms, $100,000 going a mile and 16th. This is a pretty intriguing race, just like the Harrison Johnson. This one's for straight 3-year-olds. And Callie, both you and I have the 2, your 6-5 favorite. There he is. May the horse be with you. The Russells. Again, as I mentioned, 6-5 on the board, coming in off a pretty dominant performance in the Miraclewood.
I mean, this horse is sitting at the 6-5 favorite, and for a reason. Looking sharp today, clearly in the paddock. Miraclewood Stakes was just the performance pretty much of the lifetime for this horse. So coming off of a lifetime performance, with the way the Russells are going, I think that's just going to continue to improve. We have a March 6th work that shows that the Miracle Wood didn't take anything out of this horse at all with a 48 work. Very impressive, especially on a winter type track. I'm sure these stats have gone up, but Brittany Russell is over 25% in winning her last race.
As she certainly is, and may the horse be with you. In that race in the Miracle Wood was a big effort. Got to the front, now draws the rail this afternoon, or pretty much close to the rail, and I would anticipate Sheldon Russell taking advantage of this inside draw. We had a few minutes to catch up with wife Brittany Russell, and this is what she had to say about May the Horse Be With You.
He seems to have a lot of energy. He's trained well, right out of that last run. So we see no reason not to come right back in 3 weeks. Naturally, you like to give horses more time when they are running in these better type races, but he seems ready to go. Yeah, he has to go with the pony. You kind of just keep him moving, get him going. He just likes to train. He just likes miles. He likes to, skip around here, do his happy little gallop, and if he does that, he's really easy to deal with. You'd like to hope, but at the same time, too, I think just going race to race is the way to handle a horse like this. He's in good form right now, and he answered the last question. We see what happens tomorrow and, make a decision from there.
And never really a bad race for May the Horse Be With You. You have to go all the way back to August of last year, and that was sprinting going 5.5 furlongs, lifetime best in his last start in a sharp work, as you mentioned, Callie, earlier on March 6th. The 5 Royal Number, 2-1 on the board for Mike Trombetta. Mike Trombetta will be looking for back-to-back stakes victories with Royal Number. Took a big step from that A Other Than to that graded stakes race, the Withers, in his last start up there at Aqueduct. Didn't run that badly that day, but 2 races ago, this one fired an 81 Beyer speed figure, and we have that race on a video as we pick it up at the far turn. As you see going to the far turn, he's about 4 or 5 lengths off of it, just cruising along under Julian Pimentel. Gets an inside run right here, and when Julian says go, it's right now. And just give this a moment, and here we go. Julian says, here's your spot, here's your time. Royal Number says, okay, let's go. And the rest is pretty much history. As you see, Callie, through the stretch, this one just draws off at will.
Straightforward, just a straightforward horse, and I love how he took the inside trip with such professionalism. And as you can see, Julian, once again on a Trombetta horse, there we go, looking down underneath the shoulder before we go on and going with it. Wins by a little bit over 7 lengths, and hopefully we're going to get to see that today. Now, just prior to that, a little bit inconsistent in performance, but I will say that Mike is 29% from Aqueduct to Laurel off of a short sampling, but nonetheless still impressive at least. The only thing I'm worried about is that this horse, the Withers took a lot out of this horse, and I noticed that Mike hasn't had him in a race since then, which I'm actually glad about, and has put in some decent works on the lead up to today. The only thing I'm worried about is that the horse's mentality, we're back on shortening on the distance, which is where this horse likes to be. Just worried a little bit about the horse's confidence after running in the Withers.
Well, a couple good works since that last race, including a couple good 5/8, half miles. One of them right here at Laurel Park. He does draw the 5-hole, but his running style shouldn't be an issue here this afternoon. He's certainly a very, very good-looking son of Palace Malice with that big white bald face and the right blue eye. So Royal Number. Now, he was drifting out a little bit in that win on January 9th, but he was winning easily and at will. I'm not too worried about that. The 5 Royal Number currently 2-1 on the board. To his outside is the 6 who you use in your Exacta Accelerator for Hugh McMahon. First time off the claim for Hugh. Ran a lifetime best number in his last start in the first level allowance condition.
And that's what intrigues me about this horse. Now, I understand that this is a step up with this horse, but I just loved watching the way this horse moves coming down the stretch and this turn of foot. I think this horse is just going to come after the Russell horse, and I think this horse is going to put in a fun performance for us to watch at the end of the stretch. And again, Hugh, he is 25% first after the claim, 21% out of a new trainer. I just see this horse going in a very forward direction once you got a hold of his hands on the horse. And you can see right now in the paddock that we're doing a little bit of a pedicure. We're getting a bit of a shoe fix, so hopefully that won't interfere with his performance at all.
A shoe repair going on as we speak. Now, Callie, you use the one, Commodore Perry.
All right.
This is a maiden, so go ahead. Sell me on it.
Okay, so this Ben Colbrook will bring his horses into Jerry O'Dwyer's barn, and he shipped in about 2 days ago. I walked in the barn, never saw this horse before, and I was like, who is this magnificent looking horse? As you can see here, he just looks the part of a really stout, solid horse, which is what I love. And that's basically what I'm going off of. I saw that, looking at the replay at Turfway Park, very professional, a lot like Trombetta's horse here today, Royal Number. Just was tucked in behind the field. There was an opening on the rail and just went right through, just missed out on it. A horse just came out on the outside, just nicked him. I think so. The one post position doesn't bother me, which is why I chose him today. I just think this horse really looks the part today.
Good work since that last race, half mile, 48 flat down there at Keeneland. There's a 7 Shack Queen King, 5-2 on the board for Gary Capuano. Receives Lasix for the first time this afternoon. Went up to the Withers on the February 6th up there at Aqueduct. Not particularly good, but I think he's back among his friends this afternoon.
That's correct. And again, Gary did the same thing as Mike because the Withers was a tough race. Just a very demanding race that took a lot out of this horse. And on top of that, I liked the work on March 3rd. Working a mile just seemed to prove that Gary is fine with the horse and how he's doing. And to enter him in this race, I think, says a lot.
Never a bad race until that race up in New York. This is a horse who was never worse than second. Won the Howard County on December 26th. Going today's distance of 1 mile and a 16th. Ran a good solid number. And really backed that up behind Kenny Adenocean in the Spectacular Bid Stakes on January 16th. 3-1 on the board. The 3 Shackled Love. This is Gary Capuano's other entry. Make the rider Charlie Marquez. Charlie Marquez rides, fired a lifetime best in his last start. 2 solid works since that last start on January 30th.
And this is simply just a step up in class and just see if he can be a man, if he can get to from a boy to a man, excuse me. And that's just really there's so many other horses with a bit more experience, a bit like Gary's other runner, like Mike's other runner. So to me, this is a very nice horse. Don't get me wrong, very nice horse, but I want to see a little bit more.
Ran respectable behind Royal Number, 2 back, running second, soundly beaten, and 3 back, getting beat 3 lengths to May the Horse Be With You. Yeah, certainly a test, certainly a step up, but coming off that big race behind Boss Logic on January 30th, it might be good enough. We're about 4 minutes out from post for race 8. The private terms going 1 mile 16th. 4 straight 3-year-olds. Your favorite continues to be the 2. May the Horse Be With You for Brittany and Sheldon Russell. So the horses will be hitting the track momentarily. Good luck here in race 8. Good luck if you're still alive in the Rainbow Pick 6. I haven't given you an update, but we will have one before race 9. We're about 4 minutes out. We'll see you for the back here for the nightcap.